as I like to say, most spectacular sweetener that there is on the market. I share it with you. Aha. Yes. Let me hold that still so you can just take a little gander there. Yes, that's the most spectacular sweetener on the market, and I say that because it helped me to kick my sugar addiction. I'm also the founder of SAIR Nutritional Therapy, or SAIRNT, SAIRNT, and that stands for Sugar Addiction is Real Nutritional Therapy. We just added a little R in there, for the real, because otherwise it spells saint. I am doing saintly work here. I do believe. I do believe. Because I'm trying to help you all get rid of your sugar addiction. And you might say to me, "Oh, I don't have a sugar addiction." And I'm like, "No, of course you don't." But a lot of us do. So maybe you don't. Maybe you haven't realized it yet. Certain things, like, I have people who say, "Oh, I don't eat a lot of sweets. I don't eat cakes and pies and cookies and things like that." But they drink soda. And man, you can't get them off of the soda. And I've had people who realized and said, "Hey, I drink soda, and like, can you quit soda?" And when they try, maybe they quit soda, then they pick up a bread habit, or maybe they pick up then the other sweet habits. Because I'm telling you, if you have that addiction, it's gonna find its way to find another source of food to get the sugar from, wherever it can. And in case you didn't know, carbs, simple carbs like bread, like processed white flour, things like that, those kind of things turn into sugar in the body. And so, yes, you could very well have one and not know it. And I mean, because it takes care of the sensor, the pleasure areas in your brain. And so, you know, it's as addicting as cocaine and heroin. But it's a very, very sweet addiction, and one that we many times don't know that we have. And maybe you don't have an addiction, but maybe you are diabetic or pre diabetic and you don't know it. Again, these are some things where you would want to kick sugar out of your life. You would not want to be eating sugar. So that's why I make sounds sweet. But yes, it helped me kick my sugar addiction, and I have long been helping others to do the same. A little bit of housekeeping here. We do have a great guest joining us today, and I want to remind you to drink your four bottles of water per day. This is 1.05 pint, 500 milliliters, 16.9 fluid ounces. So you want to get 4 of these a day. That will give you your 64 ounces of water per day. And let me just take a little sippy sip. Water. Yes, we need it. Okay. And if you don't know what your risk is for type 2 diabetes, I would recommend that you go over to the American Diabetes Association. They do have an assessment over there that you can take that will let you know what your risk is for developing type 2 diabetes, or whether or not you are pre-diabetic or could potentially be pre-diabetic. So go over to the American Diabetes Association and take that assessment. You know what? I forgot. They sent me some flyers and some little handouts, and I forgot to bring those in with me today. So I'm gonna have to remember to just bring those in with me. But nonetheless, we do have a great guest, and I am not going to belabor my time before you. We are wrapping it up. We're getting toward the end of the year, and I know that some of us, are, if you're thinking about making I feel like I have to sneeze. If you're thinking about making a New Year's resolution, and that resolution being that you want to lose, excuse me. Hey, we're live, and I'm sorry. Excuse me. But you thinking that resolution is going to be that you want to lose weight, you want to make a change in your life. We've had a lot of great guests on this year that where you could reach out if you feel like you might need some help. So we've had a lot of great guests. Please go to review the videos. You can see them because we stream live and they're all recorded there on um, Facebook at SAIRNT, on YouTube at SAIRNT, and we are on Instagram at Some Sweet Foods and Twitter at Some Sweet Foods, and of course we're here at HAPS. We're also on Facebook at Some Sweet Foods as well. And I'm asking everybody go. Oh, we're on Twitch at SAIRNT also. Yes. So welcome, 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 everyone who's tuning in from Twitch for the first time. We are now on Twitch, and I'm asking everyone to please go and subscribe to me and follow me on all of these platforms. If you're there and you're watching, please go ahead and subscribe, and then go on over to TikTok and subscribe to me over on TikTok so I can stream live on TikTok. So I have to have 1,000 followers on TikTok in order to stream live to TikTok. So yes, just asking you all if you would do that for me, please. If you appreciate this and the great information that we're bringing to you here, then please do that. So that's it for all that I have to say. Catch the podcast, the audio version of this. Today's episode will be uploaded as well to our podcast at SAIRNT. Sugar Addiction is Real. Nutritional Therapy. You can find us on all of the podcast platforms. So yes. So without further ado, we're gonna. I saw that our guest was here. He was backstage, and we're gonna bring our guest on. His name is Gary Martinez. He's a fitness coach and an autism advocate. So he's got a lot of great information to share with us today. All right. So I'm going to cue him up, get him in the back, and he'll be here in just a moment. Hi, how are you?
Pretty good.
Welcome.
How are you? Thank you.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. And
Very welcome.
I'm so glad to have you here. So I had said that you are a fitness coach and an autism advocate. Make sure that correct me if I'm wrong.
You're correct.
All right. Yay, I got it right. Yes, so I am so glad to see you. I was just looking at a post and I saw that you had mentioned something there that I would love to get some more information on that as well, about a young man that you were helping and coaching, and he didn't have arm strength, and now he couldn't do push-ups and now he can. So I would love for you to tell us that story, but let's first just get started and just tell us who you are, what you do, how you got into what it is that you do.
Okay, so I am a father of two. I have a 11-year-old son named Christian. I have a 16-year-old daughter named Monica, and I've been
Mhm.
a fitness trainer since 2012. And
Okay.
originally, I wanted to work with athletes, but then as I started to work at the gym, I wanted to work with older adults because I went through some classes that I really liked because it made exercise for everybody. So it made all
Okay.
these different adjustments for people. And then later
Right.
on, as my daughter started to need some extra support with exercise, I started to
Hmm.
work with kids with autism. So
Okay.
um, those older adult exercises went really well for our kids,
Oh,
and
great.
so that's the main thing that I do right now. There are some other things that I do with the autism community, some projects that I'm working on.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So I remember when we were talking about, because I always start every conversation about sugar and how that has an impact in diet and all of that. And you were sharing with me that you had discovered that there were some things about diet and sugar and certain foods that how they were affecting the children that had autism. And for people who don't know, can you please explain more about what autism is and how it affects the individual that has it?
Sure. So, everyone's different on the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
and we all have different components. But like some of the most common ones are that it's social, having conversations, communication with people is really hard for them. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the kids like to go into isolation mode, and they like to be
Okay.
very repetitive and kind of talk to themselves and talk about a special interest that is really important to them, because
Mm-hmm.
it's unique that they can read a person, they can read their energy. So it's so
Okay.
much for them that they have to
Mm-hmm.
go the other direction. Um, Other
So they get
things are,
overwhelmed with that,
I'm
with reading
sorry.
people. They get overwhelmed. Is that what you
Right,
said?
right. So it's
Okay.
like too much. It was like, whoa, like if it's more than one person, especially, like they have to retreat and they have to do
Okay.
something to kind of calm themselves down. Um, Another part of it is, as we're talking about exercise a little bit earlier, is that a lot of kids have what's called low muscle tone. And when they have low, low muscle tone, excuse me, it means that things that we do every day is hard for them, like holding a
Okay.
toothbrush, holding a
Mm-hmm.
utensil, tying their shoes. So they need, activities and exercises to help them gain that strength so they can have confidence, so they can be a little more independent.
Okay. 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 And how does their diet and things like that? How does that impact their autism?
To me, that's the biggest thing for us as far as our experiences,
Mm-hmm.
because what we put inside our body, like is very important. It can
Right.
bring up some good results for us and some other direction of results for us. So for a lot of kids, it can make them very hyperactive. It can
Okay.
make them have very low energy, and
Mm-hmm.
overall, it just affects their behavior, where it can go into a pretty much a downward spiral direction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important, like you said earlier, like candies and bread and all that stuff that has a lot of the sugar that we don't want in our bodies can trigger that type of behavior, and it's not our kids' fault. So I've had to learn how to get on the same page with all the places, including schools and professional services, that
Mm-hmm.
um, we have foods that we have to avoid because we don't want to trigger a certain type of behavior.
Okay. Okay. So the schools are aware of this about the types of foods that they have. So do they have special diets for those children when they're in school? Because I mean I would imagine they do still attend public schools, but with just certain like ILP or was it individual learning plans and things like that.
Right, right, right.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do there, that's a good thing where we get to come together and kind of plan the school year. So in that meeting, I'll let them know that we're going to take our own snacks. That way we have stuff that we know is good for us, and we won't have we won't have to worry about a behavior that's going to affect my daughter's learning progress in school.
Okay. So let me ask you real quick because I want to just say this because I know some people might say, well, this maybe doesn't apply to me or like so I don't want people to tune out. But how many children are affected by autism?
The study kind of fluctuates a little bit. So our say
Hmm.
roughly like 1 in 50. And
Okay.
as we continue to go into the future, that number is going to grow. So there's going to
Okay.
be more kids who are going to be on the spectrum. So it's
Hmm.
time for more people to actually start getting some information about that, so we can, accept each other and grow together as people.
Okay. And so you said they have muscle weakness, and so they have a hard time doing things. So tell us some of the stories about some of the children that you worked with and how you've seen them progress and seen things improve for them.
All right. So as you were talking about earlier, the push-up part, I've
Uh-huh.
had that client with me started in 2014, I want to say. And
Okay.
yeah, he could barely bend his elbows to attempt to push up. So with coming to me for all these years, we just had to work at it. Like it goes back to, like I said earlier,
Hmm.
I learned older adult modification exercises.
Okay.
And instead of doing a full body weight push up, like people can do,
Right.
we had to use a staircase. One, two, three, four, number four stair. And we
Okay.
started to work on the push up piece. And then over time, now he can do a full push up.
So
It's
you
just
so
that one adjustment is a game changer.
so on stair 4, and then after that down the stair 3. To
Hmm.
two, and then okay, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that, you know
that's
what?
it.
That's gonna help me to do a push up because I can't do one either.
Yeah, I mean, like some of us, like we had to start on the wall. Like my daughter had to do a wall push-up or use a
Okay,
door. We had to start that high, and then you go to the staircase. So you just got to find
okay,
just that one simple tool to help you out, so you can do the same type of exercise, work the same muscles to get the same results.
okay. Fantastic. Are there other exercises that are modifications that you've helped the children with that they can now do that they couldn't do before?
Right. So like we'll just say hand strength, for example. Like at the
Hmm.
Dollar Tree or Walmart, any place that has toys, they sell the ball. It's about this size. We'll call it a
Uh,
sponge ball. If you
okay,
just grab that bad boy and you start squeezing it for your fingers, there's one
okay.
right there. If
Uh
you
huh.
lay it on your chest and start pushing into it, you're working your upper body right there.
Oh,
If
okay,
you put one hand like this and put the ball right here and start turning it like you're trying to open up a jar or something, you'll start to
okay,
get the hand strength
okay.
for doing those
Oh,
sorts of things.
okay. So that ball. Okay, so for all of so okay, because I know some of y'all out there, y'all my age, you in your 50s, and you weak still. You might be weak. That's a great exercise. Do the to do the jar to open the jar, right?
Mhm.
Ladies, we need this so we can open jars. So that's a great exercise for us that we can use too. So yeah, that's fantastic. So that ball you said is at the Dollar Tree. So $1 device we can take and we can use it to strengthen. That's really good. That's really
Yeah,
good.
just another game changer. So you can, open up that jar, whatever you got to do with your hands. That's you can overcome your obstacle.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. And so you said your daughter has autism, and how old is she?
She is 16.
She's 16. She looks like a baby. Oh my gosh. I saw her picture. She looks like a baby. Well, I guess everybody does at that age. I have a 16-year-old too, but oof, boy, they can be a handful too, huh?
Right.
So what are some things that she likes to do um, that that as you can see that has helped her to progress, and can you also explain to me what is Asperger's
Mhm.
syndrome? Is that is and what that is as it relates to autism? Because when I was doing research I kept seeing that come up a lot. So explain that as well for us.
So the client that I work with doing the push-ups, he has
Mhm.
Asperger's and autism.
Okay.
So I haven't really searched too much about Asperger's, but what I do know with my client is that
Hmm.
he's like a little more, he can hold a conversation.
Oh,
So he's
okay.
got that intelligence that he can handle a conversation and he's on that level. So that's like one component I would say right there. But then,
Okay.
he has autism piece, so he kind of similar things that we go through also. One of them is the low muscle tone.
Okay. And so a little bit difficulty. Is he good at reading people as well? When he can have that conversation?
Um, he Let me think here for a second. He likes to talk. So
Oh, okay.
if you let him have the mic and have the stage,
Uh-huh.
he'll keep talking. And like our
Okay.
warm up is basically I gotta let him talk about things that are really important to him.
Okay.
Kind of goes back to that special interest. So when
Oh,
he's comfortable doing that, then we're ready to exercise. So
okay.
that's one of his strengths of something that he
Okay.
likes to do.
Okay. All right. Cool. Cool. So, thank you for explaining that because it just kept coming up, and I wasn't sure what that was. And so, with your daughter, what are some things that she likes to do, or what are some common? You mentioned that they read people, they can get overwhelmed by that. Would A lot of times people would come in contact with children that have autism and not realize that they have autism. Is that the case?
Right. So a lot of times I have to, kind of explain a little bit, share our story to people
Mm-hmm.
where this is a good one. I like to use this analogy. So like when we go to the gym or if you work out at home, wherever you do your workout at, you know
Mm-hmm.
that if you warm up first, you're going to be more prepared for the workout. So
Right.
for us, for example, like let's say we're going to school.
Mm-hmm.
If we do it at home now, because now she's in high school, we don't have a playground in high school. So our house is the playground. So for about 15 minutes before we head out that door, we do 15 minutes of exercises. to prepare her brain and body for all the transitions, the different
Okay.
things that go on in school that are unpredictable, and that
Okay.
gets her more prepared. So,
Okay. So
and
sh
quickly, a couple of things that she likes to do is we have some exercises that we like to do, but then we
mhm.
also listen to music on the way to school, where she has her own CD mixtape of songs that she likes. So all those things
Okay.
together help her out. And now she's making smoothies, so she gets like 6 foods in her belly
Okay.
before we head out to school. So all those help her out.
So what's her smoothie? What's her favorite smoothie?
Um, the one that we have, it's mainly fruit. So we have orange in there, we have bananas in there, we have wild blueberries in there, we
Okay.
have Atlantic dulse, which is baby seaweed,
Oh,
and
okay.
what
Okay.
am I missing? What am I missing? Oh, we have two powders. We have barley grass juice powder and spirulina. She does not
Oh,
like cilantro, so we don't put cilantro in there because that's what the
okay.
recipe calls for. So we don't use that one.
Okay. Well, she has a good smoothie.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, with the greens and stuff in there too. Yeah, cool.
And she times
Cool.
it. I give her a little stopwatch. I've taught her how to put all the ingredients in there and then to time it for 1 minute because that's what it takes to get it at the consistency that she likes.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. So, what else can you share with us about the things that you do and your clients that you work with and let me ask you, do you work with older people as well, or are you just specializing in the children
I still
with
do because
autism?
I still have some older clients that I worked with before, and they're older adults. So it's a combination of older adults and kids or young adults with autism.
Okay.
So it's all good stuff. Like one of my clients who has autism, they're all pretty cool. They all have their own special world. So
Mm-hmm.
what we do for our warm up really quickly, our warm up before we hit the stretches is we walk around the gym 3 times and I'm
Okay.
just listening to him talk about all his favorite subjects like
Mm-hmm.
vacuum cleaners, old
Okay.
VHS tapes,
Okay.
um, a favorite game. So that gets him warmed up in his mind. And then
Mm-hmm.
once we're done with that third lap, we go to the mats and then we do our warm up. And
Okay.
then we do our exercises. And again, like we don't do a lot of the traditional stuff in the gym. We do
Mm-hmm.
now, but some things we do that relates to a special interest. Like he likes Super Mario Brothers the game. So we'll
Okay.
grab these bands that have red and green, Mario and Luigi, two characters that he likes. We'll wrap it
Okay.
around something and we'll do an exercise and it's about that character, but we're doing an exercise at the same time. So
Okay. Okay, cool. So, do you work with, okay, so you work with them one on one like that, but is there a way that if someone wanted to work with you, say virtually, is that possible to
I
do
do that
as
too.
well?
Hmm.
It is. It is. So you
Yep.
can work virtually with them. Because I imagine that there might be some people who have a child who would need something like this, and if they can't, if they're not in your area, if they can reach out to you. So tell us how we can get in touch with you, where all of your social medias and all of that, so we can find you.
All right. So social media, Facebook, it's my name. So it's Gary Martinez Jr. That is the same thing for YouTube.
Okay.
And same thing on Instagram. There's like a couple of dashes in there. I'm also
Okay.
on TikTok. So if you want a good laugh, if you want to see me and my daughter Monica to get to know us a little bit, we have some
Okay.
pretty funny TikTok videos on there.
Okay.
So it's just under my name.
Okay. Gary Martinez. So you guys remember that. So it's Gary underscore Martinez underscore Junior for Instagram.
Instagram.
Okay. Okay. So you guys, everybody, go check him out, because if you know someone, or maybe you need some assistance, that little ball thing, I'm gonna go look for one of those so I can just, well, I might have to fight my puppy for it. Well, he's an old man, but fight him for it. But if he sees it, but that's a great little. That's a great something to know, that you can use. Just something like that is enough to be able to give you a workout and help you. So that's a great tip, and thank you for that. Is there anything else that you want to share with us? Any advice, tips, parting words, anything like that that you want to share with us? Any more stories you want to tell us? The floor is yours.
Awesome. Uh, so you have to get creative as a parent. Like if you're, say, a new parent and you find out your kid's diagnosed with autism,
Mm-hmm.
that you are the best advocate for them. So even though we go to all these therapies and all this kind of stuff, they spend the
Mm-hmm.
most time at home with us. So it's
Right.
our duty to learn what is the most important thing to them so we can reach them. Because
Mm-hmm.
my daughter started out not talking for years. And when she
Okay.
started to talk, then I learned what things are important to her. I had to earn her trust. I had to earn her respect. And now we're like best buds. So once you can do that, that
Mm-hmm.
opens the door. It's kind of like that warm up part to
Right.
help them out in other areas of their life. And we
Mm-hmm.
just have to have the ultimate patience and understanding because they're all super duper special. And
Mm-hmm.
it brings you down to earth with life that a simple thing goes so far with one person that
Right.
it kind of makes all the noise in the world go away when you focus on your child and just kind
Right.
of live your life
Right.
through their lens.
Right. Right. And how old was she when you found out that she had autism?
It was roughly 4 years old because honestly, there was different tests. So you got to go to different places
Mm-hmm.
before they make that decision.
Okay. Okay. Well, I am I really enjoyed your stories about the children, and I would really like to learn more. I do believe that I think there's somebody that's in my family, in my immediate family, and that their child has autism. So I'm going to make sure that to get this over to them and share it with them. Um, because I've seen a little bit. We're immediate family, but it's just kind of everybody's distant and separate and everything. But I think I would like to share that with her as well because those being able to get the activity and get the support. Do you have any references or information as far as support groups go and things like that that you would be able to share with the audience today, or that you would like to have recorded here so that we people can know where they can find different
As
things,
far as like
resources?
support groups for like autism or Asperger's, like for families,
Mm-hmm.
um, like if you're on Facebook, just start Googling in your city, autism
Mm-hmm.
groups, autism and Asperger groups, and
Right.
you'll get some results. And what I like to do is I like to shop around to when I check a group out, I want to see are they active? Like were people actually posting today or yesterday? Are they active? Like was their last post not last year? So make sure you
Okay.
find out that it's an active group and that there's a lot of comments and support on there so you know that they're active.
Okay.
And look at a few different groups to kind of find one that you like, that you feel is a good fit for you.
Okay.
And you will not be alone because a lot of like in the beginning, I felt alone because I didn't know anything about these resources. I had to learn as I went
Right.
further along the journey that those groups are out there and there's people going through the same story that you're going through. And in these groups, you can connect with them. And then they
Mm-hmm.
usually schedule some events that parents can go to. So maybe your kid can make that very first friend that they've been wanting to make a friend with. And that parent
Right.
can talk to that other parent that they can share their story and not feel um, odd about it. And you just get a lot of
Right.
support in groups. There's a lot of different things that go on.
Right. Okay. Well, that's great news. That's great. As I know, I had a friend, well, a friend of a friend, and they had two daughters that were autistic, and I remember her sharing the stories with me about their children, and that was like the first time that I had really ever heard of autism, and they were, I think they were like in their late teens, early 20s, when I first heard about that. So it was very interesting to hear the dynamic and um, how they worked with their children. It was very interesting. So I think that a lot of people um, they don't realize, and I really want to be careful because in this era, I've heard the stories about what they say may cause autism and all of that, and it's like it's a double. You know what I'm saying? It can be treading, to say the least, about how
Oh,
they feel about
yeah,
that.
most definitely.
And I mean, that's something that I would like to talk about. I don't know how you feel about that, or what side you take on that. But I think parents need to really they need to do their research, and they need to look and find the things that's best for them and their families. This is what side of that issue that they would take. And it
Yeah.
and just for you guys who don't know, I'm just going to say the word. It's the vaccination word, but I don't. I have I we don't know, do we?
Right. I'm open to talk about any of this right now if you had time for me
Oh
to
yeah,
speak.
we we have we
So,
we have time.
all right. So, for us, we, you have to find out what's going to work for your child because everybody's different.
Mhm.
Everybody's immune system is different. Kids like this exercise, kids like this one. Kids have different likes. So, just speaking for us, I found out that there was foods that were causing a lot of behavior problems.
Okay.
Um, and so we made changes. Like my daughter started out as a picky eater, and a lot of it, some of our kids they take towards certain textures. So
Mhm.
for us, we were chicken nuggets nation. It was chicken nuggets nation. Um, and then and
That's
then we
every
started,
kid though.
it's the texture, it's the
Yeah.
taste. It kind of gives like a quick rush to your brain, like kind of like
Okay.
a quick spike, but then it
Yeah.
does go down
It
this way.
does.
So she still likes, well, she likes chicken tenders today. So I let her have that because that's like her baby that she has to nurture. That's just something that she likes. But she
Okay.
did try new food out this past week, and um she now likes I steamed potatoes, and then the grass fed, the really, really good where I have to go to a natural grocery supermarket to get
Mhm.
the right hamburger meat for her. So she likes that, and she's starting to substitute that a little bit over her chicken tenders. But like
Okay.
one day, I had to get creative. Like I said, you have to get creative for your kid because you are the
Mhm.
true expert of them.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, we're only eating, nuggets or whatever. So I was like, hold on, right now Monica likes Alice in Wonderland. She loves Disney movies. So I said, you know what, Monica? I'm gonna eat this banana right here because it's yellow, like Alice's hair. I want her to
Okay.
keep her beautiful hair for the rest of her life. Gobble, gobble, gobble.
Uh-huh.
Shortly in time, Monica said, me too. So
Okay.
that opened the door where now she eats bananas and she eats them for her characters. Dad, I'm eating a banana for Alice's hair. Dad, I'm eating an apple for Mulan.
Oh,
So and
okay.
so forth. So those
Okay.
have been a game changer for us where we got away from candies and all that kind of stuff. Where her energy's improved. She has more energy. She
Mhm.
started out she could not even handle a half a day in preschool. I would get phone calls, she's having a meltdown. Can you come pick her up? To
Mhm.
when we started to make changes with our diet and exercise combined, she now does full, she can do the whole day. She's in high school, she's a ninth grader. She does the whole day. Her
Okay.
energy's improved, her mood's improved, her
Right.
focus is improved, and so forth. And those are things that have helped us out. And by doing them consistently throughout the day,
Mhm.
you want to do it, like you're talking about water earlier. You want to drink that water before you're thirsty. You
Right.
want to do these exercises before she has a trigger that's not making her feel good. So we do it throughout the day. So it gives her more of a fluid day, and it also helps her sleep better at night too.
Oh, because I was just going to ask that. How is her sleep at night? Yeah.
Yep. So it started out in the beginning, like we said when we were diagnosed, it was
Mhm.
not good. But when we
Okay.
started to find out what's working, gradually over time, because things take time, got to have
Mhm.
that patience.
Right.
Better.
Right. So she's good with her sleep, with all the activity and everything. It helps her to sleep really sound at night. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's
Just
really good.
being a kid at heart as a parent and just
Mhm.
doing that for your child is the ultimate because I have to do self care for myself. If I'm not ready to take on my child when she wakes up,
Mhm.
I'm no good. So I have to also take care of myself and do a routine before she wakes up so I'm ready to help her out.
And that's good. That's a great point for parents who actually are experiencing that they need to take some time for self and get themselves together, and then they can take on take on the day with their child. So that's
And
a good point.
a lot of that now is mindset. Like I've learned over the years that a lot of parents and me too, back then I've gone through all those failures that I felt
Hmm.
like I was helpless and worthless and a failure at the beginning because I didn't know how to help her.
Right.
So now what I say to parents like myself is, you know what? Think about it like take time during the middle of the day, certain time of the day, a little 5 minute reflection for yourself and
Hmm.
pat yourself on the back, give yourself some praise and say, hey, I helped out my child with this and this and this. You're doing a good job. When you have those little hiccups along the road, just dust it off, you know,
Right. Right.
take a second
Right.
to reflect. Don't let it overwhelm you. It can be an overwhelming situation, but don't tell yourself you're overwhelmed. So you don't want to get into that. You
They don't know, and they have expectations or unrealistic expectations because of just not knowing. So it's great to give that. How can we be of more support, family members and friends be of more support to someone that has a child that is struggling or that has autism?
right. That's a good question. Is to just ask that that parent who has a kid with autism,
Hmm.
hey, I want to learn. Can you tell me, what are some things about your child so I know how to, talk to them and that sort of thing when I see them in person. Like just really quick. Like this has to do with my son. My son is younger, like I said. They each have a
Hmm.
different mom. So I got the schedules to coordinate X amount of years ago so they can start to see each other. And my
Hmm.
son is loving, caring, like he's beyond his age. He's awesome. But he was like, Dad, I want to play with my sister, but I don't know how. So I was like, okay, buddy, here's what you need to do. Just watch me. Watch how
Hmm.
I play with Monica. And when you feel
Hmm.
ready, jump in. And today, he is her best pure play partner. Like she misses him. She's opened up to now she shares and does things like that where those things
Okay.
were hard in the past, but because she feels that energy that he loves her, she
Hmm.
now wants to do what he does. Now she wants to watch music videos that he likes and so
Okay.
forth. So it
Right.
just takes that open mindedness to be open and to want to learn.
Okay. Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I just remembered something else, but I'm trying to think. Let me not do that. I was just thinking because a name popped into my head of a child that I didn't know, but somebody else was was telling me about that child. I think he had autism, and now he's like in his. I think he's in his 20s, maybe almost. Well, good grief, he must be in his 30s now.
Time
Yeah,
flies.
and how yeah, really, and how well he's doing as an adult, to have matured and to be functional and very, very adept and things like that, where he communicates and all of that. And I remember the stories from when he was younger, and it came through a very close friend, and I just remembered him because now I don't think of him as actually being someone that has autism, because he's, like I said, he's in his 30s now, and he's living on his working, and he can manage, and with his own transportation and just different things, with a little support. But he can do anything that where you wouldn't really know that he had autism. And I think that's good for people to know too, because as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wait a minute, yeah, his name keeps coming into my head. I was like, yeah, he has autism, but he's you know, kind of self-supporting, functional, being able to be out there and do things. So I think that's good for people to know too. Like everything, every condition is not the end of the world. And yeah. And like you said, everything is different. Every child is different and every case is different, because every person is different. But there's hope that your child can still go on to do more than you would ever expect that they would be able to do.
Yeah, and that's a great point that you made. Like that's amazing to hear that because things like that are possible, but everyone's different, like you said. Like I recently was on an autism parenting summit that I
Hmm.
paid to watch the recordings, and one of the ladies said, which is Temple Brandon, and what
Hmm.
she said was like start them out early, like see what your kid likes to do, and
Yeah.
see if that play right there can turn into something that they may want to do in the future as work. Like my daughter
Hmm.
Monica loves her dolls. Man, she loves those dolls are real to us, and
Right.
she likes to make clothes for them. So that was like a light bulb right there after I heard what Temple said on the summit was like, hey Monica, would you like to learn how to sew like with machines and all that? And she was like,
Right.
yeah, Dad, because I have a friend who has a small business that makes tutus and all these little clothings. So now
Yeah.
at Monica's pace when she wants to, I will pay for a session to go to my friend's location, and she is slowly teaching Monica the ropes on how to sew and do things like that, which is
Hmm.
something Monica likes to do. And she said if she likes this a lot, she's like, I'll take her to my shows with her, with me. So
Right.
it's like try to start to find out what they like when they're young and just see if that's maybe a passion and just kind of start
Yeah.
start early.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean I don't know why. Like I said, that didn't even register in my head about that child. I was thinking about another set of kids, but that child didn't even register in my head because I never think of him as being autistic.
Mhm.
Even though, as I was remembering, I was like, wait a minute, he is autistic. But
Mhm.
yeah, so that's really great. So find what they like to do, be patient, and work with them early. And I remember um, that my friend was telling me that they just they didn't really treat him any different.
Mhm.
They didn't treat him any different, so that he learned those coping. He was able to, I mean, it was rough, but they got to the place to where he is now in his 30s as an adult and doing great, doing
Yeah.
great. Yeah. So I mean, it's really nice to hear, because I know parents would, when they would get that word, would immediately go to the worst case always, you
Mhm.
know, and the to be down and all of that. But there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
There's hope. I remember seeing a story about a young man, who was autistic, and he could draw cities
Mhm.
from memory, just a pen and paper, and he could draw everything he saw in the city from memory. So those sort of skills like that, are, they super enabled, kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe something deficient in one area but super in another.
They're extraordinary. It's like that's how he sees the world. Like
Yeah.
Monica, like she had the low muscle tone, like I said earlier. We had to use that ball and some other things, and she couldn't hold that utensil. She couldn't write. She couldn't draw in the early stages. But now she went from a stick figure to she can draw a picture on a shirt in like 5 minutes and color it in. It's
Okay.
just that's like that guy. It's a skill,
Hmm.
and there's no hesitation. She knows who she's going to draw, what they're going to look like, what colors, and so forth. There's like no hesitation. It's that.
Fantastic.
And,
Fantastic.
we had all those troubles in school where learning was hard, spelling was hard, reading was hard, math,
Hmm.
everything was hard. But we've overcome it in time. It was just a lot of work, a lot of behind the scenes, behind the curtain,
Hmm. Hmm.
where we couldn't spell anything, but we did the work. We made up our own routine, and
Right.
we went from 0 words correct to 100% on her test, like in the middle of the year.
All
And then
right.
now we go to the store. She talks up a storm to people. She makes friends everywhere. It's like her energy is like people love her. Like we go to the
Right.
store and she has like a series of questions she asks people like, "Hey, I'm Monica. What's your name? What time you wake up? What time you go to bed?" She has all these
Uh-huh.
questions, and then she makes her own purchases, whether it's self checkout or the
Okay.
cashier. When it's the cashier, they have patience with her because they can just feel that let her do
Mm-hmm.
her thing. And I'm just
Right.
back there next in line, watching her, clapping and
Mm-hmm.
praising her when she's done because she's like, how much? So she'll give them
Yeah.
the dollars, and then she'll carefully count out the coins, and
Okay.
she'll get it. I was like, it's just like I'm like, wow, I remember when we couldn't even do that. And
Yeah.
it's a it's amazing to see that progress.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it sticks and it stays. Yeah. The memory. I mean, I just I and like I said, I can just go by stories that I've heard and about these children and how they just can really blossom and wow. So, parents, be encouraged. Friends, family, encourage um, your friends or, that anyone that has a child with autism, encourage them that, you know, that they're sticking there, hanging there, and do the work. You'll be rewarded in time.
yeah, well, I thank you so much for having me on your platform because it's platforms like this, things that people do like you, all the hard work that you do behind the scenes to make this show possible. That if one parent can get a spark, perhaps off maybe what I'm saying today, then we've done our job to help somebody. And
Yes.
my story may not resonate all of it, but if they get a spark or something like, hey, we like so and so, and just got some ideas, then that
Yeah.
can turn things around. That can turn that frown upside down,
Yeah. Yeah.
get more involved and have that courage, like you said. And then after that, it's like game on. It's like you just start to get really focused and included in helping your child out.
Well, I am so excited. I wait to see your daughter's fashions, her designs, and let me know if she makes a special T-shirt or something. So that that you're gonna sell to the people. Y'all go buy Monica's T-shirts. She's gonna have one.
Been getting that lately. Like when she gonna open up that store? When she gonna do
Yeah,
that? On the radar.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's fantastic. I thank you so much for joining us today. So everyone go check out Gary Martinez, and it's Gary underscore Martinez Junior. Gary underscore Martinez underscore Junior at Instagram, and then everywhere else is Gary Martinez, correct?
Junior at the end. Yep.
Junior, Gary Martinez Jr. So go check him out, find him, and if you know someone who needs some help or someone who needs a word or anything, some encouragement, share this video with them, share the podcast with them so that they can get encouraged and reach out if you're older and you need some assistance working out, some alternate exercises and ways to work out, then reach out to Gary. If you have a child that has autism or you know someone that has a child with autism, reach out and so that they can get the physical exercise that they need and things like that. So, and he can do it virtually. So if you're not in the same city, you can do it virtually. All right. Yes. So, any last parting words that you want to share with everybody? I'm always trying to look in the camera because when I look down here, I know I'm looking down. Any last parting words you want to share with everyone?
With everything that we said today, all the takeaways is to just get started. Just get
Okay.
started and start now. That's what I would say. Start now.
Start now. All right. Well, everybody start now. So, I want to thank our guest, Gary, for joining us today. Gary Martinez Jr., look him up. And What's your website? You had a website. It wasn't Gary
Yeah, yeah, I
Martinez.
do. It's autismstar.net.
Autismstar.net. So go over there if you want to reach Gary as well. Again, if you want to get some sweet, go over to SUMSWEET. Get some sweet and follow us on all of our platforms. You know what they are: SAIRNT, except for some sweet foods on Instagram and Twitter. All right. So, everyone, thank you so much. Thank our guest, Gary. Round of applause. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, everyone, peace and blessings.